The Welsh dragon's awoken. The Welsh dragon has awoken. Now the first thing I want to say is we've had a couple of defections. We've had Dan Thomas, who's been appointed as the leader of Reform UK in Wales. We've had James Evans, who has defected from the Tories, I believe. So well done. Now, this video is slightly different. It's about the establishment and how they lock out any dissent that isn't centrism. And this is by design, and this is about how all of the institutions, if we can call it them, that were established by New Labour and Tony Blair are designed to lock out anything extreme, or what the centre deems as extreme. So think anything remotely right-leaning from the Conservatives, anything that UKIP, Advance UK, Reform UK, Homeland, Heritage, whatever your poison is on the right, they're effectively locked out, and they're locked out on purpose by design. And this is why Ofcom was created, to control the airwaves, and then you've got the Supreme Court. That was created to lock out Parliament doing its sovereign duty, and that is to actually rule over the country and give the people what they voted for. Then you look at the OBR. Well, in this particular video, we're looking at devolution. Now, if you believe the party line from Labour, George Robertson, then a Labour Shadow Scottish Secretary, was a key architect of devolution within the UK Labour Party. He famously asserted it would kill the SNP stone dead. This statement was made in the context of promoting devolution as a means to undermine Scottish nationalism. How did that work out? And the Scottish National Party, through the exact phrasing is sometimes recalled, kill nationalism stone dead. He played a central role in shaping Labour's devolution policy in the lead-up to the 1997 election, and served as the Shadow Secretary of State of Scotland from 93 to 97. After Labour's victory, he became the Defence Secretary, while Donald Dewar, or Dewar, often credited as the father of devolution, implementing it as Secretary of State for Scotland, who took over the role. So that is the on-paper reason for devolution, and the reason why it was set up. I've never bought that. It's to shut down anything outside the centre ground in Westminster, however you want to say it. I remember vividly in 2015, just after the separatist referendum in Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon was all over the TV, all over. She was on general election debates for the UK Parliament, for the British Parliament. Even though she wasn't contesting a seat in the contest, she was Scotland only. Now, if we're going to play by that game, then it needs to play both ways. But Nigel Farage has been banned from standing for debate for the Senate elections in Wales, and the reason why is because he's not contesting a seat in the Senate elections. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. It doesn't work that way, does it? They want the devolved assemblies to be leftist or centrist, but not right-leaning. And this is exactly by design, and this is exactly the point I'm getting at here. I'm going to give you some further context here. Multiple reliable sources, according reports from Nation Camry and the Will Haywood newsletter, references to ITV-related coverage indicate that ITV Camry Wales has a consistent rule. Participants for their televised Senate election debates must be candidates in that election. This policy was explicitly confirmed around mid-2025, about a year before the Senate election in 2026. It has been applied in the context of the 2026 campaign, for example. ITV Wales has ruled out Nigel Farage and Reform UK as their leader to participate in any of their debates, specifically because he's not a candidate in the Senate election. It is not the Welsh residents and not eligible in that way. Oh, it's funny. As I say, the poison dwarf from Edinburgh or Glasgow, she's allowed to debate, or she was allowed to debate in national debates, even though the SNP cannot hope to form a UK government because they only field candidates in Scotland. However, UKIP, when he was in UKIP, Farage, He couldn't debate in Scotland or Wales because he wasn't contesting a seat in Holyrood or the Senate. However, they have to field a local leader. This is unfair. If the policy is to allow your most skilled debater on the national platform from the devolved assemblies, like Nicola Sturgeon, then it should flow both ways. The reason is, in that 2015 debate, the two strongest performers were Nigel Farage and Nicola Sturgeon. When the Tories were in power, they're very happy to amplify the SNP as a threat. You can't go too extreme, you can't go too far to the right because you'll break up the United Kingdom. As soon as they got their guy in last year, Tutia Kia, you don't hear anything on the national media anymore about the SNP or the separatists' plans for another referendum. You don't hear anything about it, and this is specifically why. It's designed to keep the debate in the centre so nobody remotely gets what they want either on the left or the right. And then we look at the pipeline from the separatists in Wales for Plaid Cymru and where they are in the legacy media currently. Let's just have a look at this. We've got Rhyned Richards, I hope I'm not butchering that, is currently the BBC Interim Director for Nations and former Director of the BBC Wales, appointed in 2021. Richards previously served as Chief Executive of Plaid Cymru, 2011 to 2016. Then you've got the current leader of the separatists in Wales. I can't even pronounce that, so I'm not going to bother. It's the current leader of Plaid Cymru and former BBC Wales newsreader and journalist. Then you've got Aled Ap Dyfed, I think that is, Plaid Cymru's Director of Political Strategy, former prominent BBC Wales journalist. Then you've got Ellen Jones, a Senate presiding officer and senior Plaid Cymru figure, is reportedly the partner of editor of Radio Wales and head of sport in BBC Wales. So there's very much a cushy relationship between the left, the separatists, and the media in Wales, and I'm sure it's the same story in Scotland. They'll plug separatism whilst politically convenient. Do not be fooled, separatists. You will never get separation with the SNP or Plaid Cymru. That is not their raison d'etre. Their raison d'etre is to threaten and blame everything on central government, blame London, and keep the Overton window firmly in the centre. Now, thankfully, the new defection today, he knows their game. This is James Evans, and he calls out the bias in the media. So I'm going to play this now.
Welsh media in Wales works. It's driven by left-wing activists who pass themselves off as journalists. And to me, and I'm sure, like me and many people around Wales, I think they are just unpaid Plaid Cymru and Labour Party campaigners.
Spot on the money, completely correct. He's onto it, just like I am, and I'm exposing it here. It's not about separatism, it's about the threat of separatism to make sure that the central government doesn't do anything that the actual people vote for. That's what it's all about. So we'll leave this here. Now, according to recent polls, Reform UK could be the largest party after the Senate elections, the Assembly elections later this year, with 37 seats. Now, as I understand it currently, we've got a minority government in Wales propped up by the separatists. So any unpopular policies like the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in Wales, you've got the separatists to thank for that with Labour. Now, by the look of it here, they could actually lock Reform UK out of government, even though Reform UK is going to be the largest party. It will just be the inverse, so you'll have the separatists ruling, and you'll have them propped up by Labour. But that goes against what they're doing in Scotland, because if you look at what they're doing in Scotland, Labour are currently polling third, behind Reform UK and the separatists. They are very anti-separatists in Scotland, but they're not in Wales. always be aware of the broader picture and what's happening all over this United Kingdom. It's about stopping anything remotely right-leaning getting through. Now, if you like this video and you think I'm onto something, make me aware, like and subscribe, do all that great stuff. I will see you in the next video. You have a good day.